Some disasters arrive suddenly: earthquakes, volcanoes, floods. But there are places on Earth where something far stranger happens. The land doesn't explode. It slowly dies. Fields stop producing crops, forests wither, water becomes toxic. And over time, entire regions become unlivable. Not because of war, not because of climate change, but because the Earth itself is quietly poisoning the ground beneath it. 1. The invisible problem. When land becomes dangerous, the cause is usually obvious: industrial pollution, chemical spills, nuclear accidents. But in some regions, the danger comes from deep underground. Natural geological processes release toxic elements into the soil, rivers, and groundwater. The contamination spreads slowly, often invisibly, and by the time people realize what is happening, entire landscapes may already be affected. Across the world, several regions have become examples of how the planet itself can create environmental disasters. 2. The arsenic plains of Bangladesh. One of the largest silent environmental disasters on Earth lies beneath the groundwater of Bangladesh and eastern India. For decades, millions of wells were drilled across the region to provide clean drinking water. At first, it seemed like a success, but deep underground, the sediment layers of the Ganges-Brahmaputra delta contain natural arsenic. When groundwater is pumped up from these sediments, the arsenic dissolves into the water supply. The contamination spreads through drinking water, through irrigation, through crops grown in contaminated soil. Today, tens of millions of people in the region are exposed to arsenic levels far above safe limits. The land still looks normal, but beneath the surface, the ground is slowly poisoning the communities that depend on it. 3. The poisoned fields of Inner Mongolia. Thousands of kilometers away, another landscape is quietly deteriorating. In parts of Inner Mongolia, China, vast areas of farmland are becoming contaminated with naturally occurring heavy metals. The region sits on mineral-rich geological formations. When erosion and groundwater movement expose these minerals, elements like arsenic, cadmium, and lead enter the soil. Over time, the metals accumulate in crops, rice, vegetables, grains. Even small concentrations can build up in the food chain. The danger isn't visible from the surface. Fields appear healthy, but in certain areas, soil contamination has forced farmers to abandon land that had been cultivated for generations. 4. The acid waters of the Rio Tinto. In southern Spain lies a river that looks like something from another planet, the Rio Tinto. Its water runs deep red. The river is extremely acidic, with a pH similar to battery acid. At first glance, it appears to be the result of industrial pollution. But the process actually began naturally. The surrounding geology contains massive deposits of iron sulfide minerals. When these minerals interact with oxygen and water, they produce sulfuric acid. The result is an environment so hostile that most life cannot survive. Over thousands of years, the river has carved a landscape where the Earth itself has transformed the water into a toxic environment. 5. The sinking land of Indonesia. In parts of Indonesia, another slow disaster is unfolding. But here, the land isn't becoming toxic, it's disappearing. Cities like Jakarta are sinking at some of the fastest rates on Earth. The primary cause is groundwater extraction, but beneath the surface lies a deeper geological vulnerability. Soft sediments beneath the city compress as water is removed. Entire neighborhoods slowly drop. In some areas, the land has sunk more than 4 meters in just a few decades. Floodwaters now enter places that once stood safely above sea level. In response, Indonesia has begun building an entirely new capital city, because sometimes the land itself becomes impossible to defend. 6. When geography becomes the threat. These disasters share a common pattern. They are slow, gradual, almost invisible at first. There is no explosion, no dramatic event, just a quiet shift in chemistry, geology, or water systems. And over time, the environment changes enough that entire regions must adapt or leave. In a world where humans reshape landscapes constantly, it's easy to forget something important. Sometimes the planet doesn't need human help to create dangerous environments. Sometimes the Earth is perfectly capable of doing it on its own. Across the planet, maps still mark these regions as ordinary places, cities, farms, rivers. But beneath the surface, something else is happening. A slow transformation driven by geology itself. A reminder that not every environmental disaster begins with human action. Sometimes the ground beneath us has its own plans. Which place on Earth do you think hides the most dangerous environment beneath the surface?